What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we've got a huge game coming up this Saturday. It's Penn State versus Michigan State, top 10 matchup, and a critical game in the Big Ten. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's preview this one, and then I'll give you my prediction on how I think the game is going to go and a score prediction as well. So this one will be at noon Eastern time on Fox. It's the big noon game of the day. Michigan favored by 7 points. That seems a little high to me. I feel like these teams are pretty evenly matched. They do have home field advantage though, so I guess it does make sense. The over-under is at 52, so not really expecting a ton of points in this game. And I would say that I'm pretty much in line with that. I don't think this is going to be a shootout by any means. I don't think it'll be a 10-9 game or anything, but again, I'll give you my score prediction here in just a little bit. So yeah, big game coming up, of course, top 10 matchup. You take a look at how these teams have fared their last 5 games. Penn State, they've only played 5 games, and you see every game here. Not great against Northwestern. They had a bunch of turnovers in that game. If they play that way, they're not going to win this game. I can guarantee you. But if they play the way they played on the road at Auburn or in the second half against Purdue on the road, then I think Penn State's got a great shot in this one. And again, they have been tested. 2 road tests for them already. This is the first big game for Michigan, really. I mean, they have not played a great team. It turns out that Iowa's not very good. They did go on the road and take care of business there. Indiana, Maryland's not bad. Maryland's a pretty good team, but it's not nothing like playing Penn State. So this is going to be their first big test. How will they respond? We will find out. Again, huge game coming up. You take a look at the stats for these teams. Michigan scoring a lot more points than Penn State. 43 points per game, only 34.4 for Penn State. Part of that does go back to those first 3 games for Michigan. They had some really easy games where they scored a ton of points. But still, the offense has been good for Michigan this year. Defensively, Michigan has been better as well. 11.3 points per game, 14.8. But I'm going to circle back and say, look at who these teams have played. Purdue has played a little bit tougher schedule so far. Total yards, a little bit closer, 443 for Penn State, 458 for Michigan. Passing, pretty even. Penn State with a slight advantage, 251 to 246. And how about on the ground? Michigan running it for 212 per game. Penn State 192. Both of these teams are going to want to run the football in this one. Yards allowed. You take a look at this number. Michigan with a pretty big advantage, 247 to 341. Pass yards allowed. Penn State's given up 262 yards per game through the air. That's a pretty high number. Michigan just 165, and then both teams really good against the run. 79.8 for Penn State, 81.7 for Michigan. I think both teams will struggle a little bit to run the ball. I think both teams will run it enough to have a little bit of success, but I don't see either team like running it down the other team's throats. I think it will be a game where you're seeing, 3 yards here, 4 yards here. Maybe we break off a 10-yard run, but I don't think either team's going to be super successful in the run game because both defenses are really good against the run. Taking a look at the leaders for each team, Sean Clifford, take a look at his numbers, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. McCarthy, very similar numbers, only 1 interception, and he has a much higher completion percentage. He's been much more efficient looking at the run game. Singleton, the freshman, 5 touchdowns, 463 yards. Blake Corum has just been a beast, 735 yards this season, 11 touchdowns. I don't know why no one's talking about him in the Heisman race. I haven't really heard a lot about that. To me, he should be one of the top contenders right now. He's having a big year for Michigan and doing it kind of quietly. If he were to go off in this game against Penn State, that could be what puts him into that conversation. We'll see how that plays out. In the passing game, looking at the receivers, Parker Washington, leading receiver for Penn State. Ronnie Bell for Michigan. He has come back from that injury and played really well for them. You look at the weapons for both teams through the air. Penn State, they spread it out pretty good. You got Washington, you got Tinsley. Lambert Smith has 9 catches. Brenton Strange, tight end, he has 15. So we'll see if someone else can maybe emerge for them in this game. Michigan, they've got a lot of weapons, and of course they throw it to the running backs out of the backfield as well. Look for Donovan Edwards to maybe make some big plays through the air. Ronnie Bell has 30 catches. Luke Schoonmaker, he has 23 catches from the tight end position, and both teams are going to want to go to the tight end. Eric All, of course, a big loss for Michigan. We'll talk about the injuries in a second. Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson both have 12 catches this season. So both teams pretty similar when you look at their distribution and you look at the stats. This, I believe, will be a pretty even game. No reason I know some people think Michigan's going to win it easily. I don't really see that happening unless Sean Clifford just plays really poorly. And we've seen that happen at times, so I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Looking at the injuries, Eric All, again, it says questionable. I don't believe he's going to be playing. Roman Wilson, that's going to be a big one for Michigan. So he is questionable. Not sure if he's going to play or not. They did lose Hill Green at linebacker, excuse me. That's a big loss for them on the defensive side of the ball. They're pretty young at linebacker, so we'll see. Is there maybe a hole there for Penn State to exploit? You look at the injuries for Penn State, not a lot really. Not any major injuries for the Nittany Lions. You look at the predictions here for the ESPN FBI predictor. Michigan favored at 73.3%, so they are favored by a lot in this one. My prediction, so I think this game comes down to J.J. McCarthy. I think that we're going to either see him, and just to be honest, I have not seen him look like an elite quarterback yet. He's had some flashes, but he's had a lot of times where he still looks like a young kid out there. Is he going to grow up? Is he going to live up to that potential? Is he going to look like a superstar quarterback in this game? Or is Penn State going to get to him? Is he going to struggle? Is he going to hold the ball a little too long like he has done at times? That is the key. I think J.J. McCarthy is the key in this game. If he has a big game, Michigan wins. If he struggles, I think Penn State wins. If their defense is able to kind of slow Michigan down and not allow them to do much through the air, it's going to take the crowd out of it. And that's the formula. That's the formula, I think, for Penn State. You've got to get after J.J. McCarthy, make him hold the ball because he's shown that he will. Get some sacks, maybe a fumble. I don't think, he's done pretty well, and maybe he's been too cautious at times. He's only thrown one interception, so he's probably not going to throw an interception, or you're not going to have a great shot at getting him to throw an interception in this game. But I think you're better off, again, making him hold the ball, maybe getting a sack, fumble, something like that. So that's the key in this game. It's all about J.J. McCarthy to me. If he does take that next step and he looks like that quarterback that everyone thinks he can be, Michigan will win for sure. Sean Clifford, though, he's known to give games away. He's had some struggles in the past. If Michigan can get after him, you may not have to have a great performance from JJ. So that's another area where you could look at. I believe, like I talked about earlier, both teams will run the ball decently in this game, but I don't think either team is going to be able to just run the ball all game. They're going to have to throw it, so these quarterbacks will be the key. I think with Sean Clifford, though, he's a veteran. He's already had some tough road games this year. I think he will play well in this game, but if he plays well and J.J. McCarthy plays great, Michigan still wins. If he plays well and J.J. plays poorly, Penn State wins. I really feel like that's what it's going to come down to. My personal opinion, I think this is the game for J.J. McCarthy. I think he steps up. I think he's been waiting on this opportunity. I think especially playing at home, that's going to help. We don't have to deal with the crowd noise or anything. I think he's going to step up. I think Michigan will win this game. 24-20 is my prediction. I think it will be close. I don't see either team winning by a lot. The only way this game, to me, turns out to be a blowout is if one of the teams has a lot of turnovers. So if Sean Clifford throws a couple interceptions, maybe a pick six, it could snowball, and that could turn this game into a blowout. But as long as these teams take care of the football and the turnover difference is one or even, I think this game will be close, and it'll come down to the fourth quarter. I think Michigan's defense will step up when they need to. They get to stop late. They get the win. 24-20, my prediction. Would love to get your predictions. Give them to me down in the comments below.